Welcome. You're watching NewsX with me, Devika Chopra. The Union Cabinet has approved two crucial bills, the Constitution Amendment Bill 2024 and the Union Territory Laws Amendment Bill 2024, which aim at implementing the promise of simultaneous elections to the Lok Sabha and the state assemblies, a move that could revolutionize India's electoral system. Although the revised list of business in the lower house does not include the One Nation, One Election Draft Bill 2024, it can be introduced in the Lok Sabha as it is up to the discretion of the government. Sources indicate that if passed without modifications, the initiative could be enacted starting 2034. However, consensus has not yet been built around the same. Article 83 and Article 172 of the Constitution lay down the terms of the Lok Sabha and the State Assembly elections. Therefore, to bring about simultaneous polls in India, a constitutional amendment would be required. This needs a simple majority of 2/3 of those present and voting in Parliament. This implies that 2/3 members, like I said, present and voting, must assent to the bills. Now, the ruling NDA after the elections this year has a total of 293 members of Parliament in the Lok Sabha. This is 70 short of the 2/3 mark of 363. So the big question then arises, where exactly will the balance members of Parliament really come from? Let us consider the two scenarios. Scenario number one, the NDA government gets its support from 70 plus members of Parliament from other political parties. Scenario number two, 104 MPs abstain or walk out, which brings down the strength of the House to 439 and the simple majority to 293. But how likely is this? That of course remains to be seen. Till now, several parties, especially in the opposition, have expressed their concerns, whether it be the Congress, Aam Aadmi Party, the DMK, Trinamool Congress and Samajwadi Party. How exactly will this play out? What are the options before the Bharatiya Janata Party and the NDA? We take this conversation forward. I have with me on the broadcast Piyush Pant, senior journalist Himanshu Bhatt, senior journalist Sumit Peer, political commentator, and Manasvi Thapar, political analyst, with us as well. If I can also have them on the screens right there, please. Let me begin this conversation with Sumit Peer. Sumit, if you can just, go over this for our viewers. Like I just explained, that there are only a few scenarios that are available. Firstly, within the Lok Sabha, that the BJP or rather the NDA look for 70 more members of Parliament to join in on this cause. That looks a little bit unlikely, because I'll just quickly take our viewers through. On your screens, viewers, you can see the report of the high-level committee which was formed to go over this particular matter. And as far as that report is concerned, Sumit, Aam Aadmi Party was against it, the BSP was against it, CPIM against, the Congress Party against. It was simply the BJP and the NPP which were in favor. Most of the parties, I would say AIADMK, which doesn't really have a standing per se in the Lok Sabha, in favor of it. The AJSU in favor of it, Apna Dal in favor of this. But otherwise, we have the BJD in favor, but the DMK against it. Like I said, Congress, DMK, Aam Aadmi Party and the Trinamool Congress, which do have the highest numbers of members of Parliament in both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha from the opposition, they do seem against it. So, is that scenario likely, that the BJP will manage to get support from the outside?
Well, Devga ji, thank you very much for having me on your show. Well, you are right. If you look at the Ramnath Kovind committee, when Kovind ji had spoken to all the parties, out of 47, 35 said like they are interested. There are around 15 or 70, 15 are not interested. 2 or 1 he has not been able to speak to. That is what broadly the numbers look like. But if you look at if you go into the numbers deep of them, the challenge here is it is very difficult to get 70 people to come with you. So what I think will happen, it will be a mixed bag. you will have some people whom you will manage and some people will abstain. उस दिन गायब हो जाएंगे, or there will be a whole hangama, they will walk out or whatever. They will orchestrate a big drama around it and they will walk away. So the strategy of the BJP will not be to talk to the parties, but will be to talk to the individual MPs. And if you look at the history, there have been instances wherein individual MPs have voted against their party lines for some bills. If you look at 370 and 35A, there was a lot of cross voting. If you look at so many bills which have come after that, the party might have a stand, but the individual MPs have taken a different stand. That is quite a possibility. So a mixed bag wherein you are able to manage some MPs and wherein some MPs abstain or they walk out or something like this happens. Now, even there can be a friendly party which doesn't support you, but this will do you a favor by walking away or asking their MPs to leave the house. That is how it could be managed. So, and if you look at Mr. Amit Shah, and he is very good at that. So managing around 35-40 MPs and getting 30 of them to walk away should not be a big deal for him. Looking at the track record, it's quite possible with Amit Bhai Shah.
Okay, I want to bring Himanshu Bhatt into the conversation. Himanshu Bhatt, on such a big matter, on the day when the parliaments are in fact eventually voting on this particular bill, is it likely that the opposition parties could abstain or walk out and effectively bring down the numbers of the House and make it much easier for the BJP and the NDA to go ahead with this bill?
Well, it could be made easier. I wouldn't say no. The reasons are very, very obvious. There will be a huge political opera on play. And in that opera, the parts that will be played will be two smaller parties with 8 and 9 members in Maharashtra, which are very ready, readily wants to jump in. Other one will be the Bangladesh issue is right now going on. Yes, Trinamool Congress will not go and sit with BJP, all right, but they will abstain. They will abstain. When they abstain, what happens is, the numbers become very, very near. It's 2 here, 2 there, and the whole thing will go. And on top of that, with you look at the political soap opera being played in the sunset, and it is well managed, well, anything could happen. Those 98 of them may not vote the same way. Couple of them might go from one side to the other. There have been, about 22 senior Congressees already showing their dissent, the way Congress party is functioning. So I also endorse the view of Sumit when he says, there will be a mixed bag. Yes, it will be a mixed bag that will be played. And on top of that, more than anything else, what I am looking for is introduce this bill, have a discussion in the House, let the country see who doesn't want it. The spade has to be called a spade. The jokers need to be called as jokers. And they should be proved in the House, in the floor of the House. And that's why I feel, this, despite numbers being something very different, 70, yes, looks a big number. But when you see about 18 moving away on one side, 30 abstaining, you see what is the number left? What is the number left? You are left with about 5 or 6, in which the smaller parties or even some disgruntled MLAs of the bigger opposition parties might be willing to go and vote for this, despite not supporting the government. That could happen. And that has happened in the past. It will happen again. So it will be a soap opera, and I wish the Indian public sees this, that who is playing what tune, because that will make, things very, very clear. What is right, what is wrong, what is white, what is black.
Okay.
This grey side, of parliament needs to go.
Okay, I want to bring in Manasvi into the conversation as well. Manasvi, given the current numbers, is it also then perhaps likely that there will be a joint session of both the houses which will be called, which could perhaps impact the numbers in a certain way? But even if we were to look at the mathematics of it all, as I've mentioned, the NDA's total, currently stands at 293. as far as the others are concerned, the non-aligned parties are concerned, their total is merely 17, and that includes an AIMIM, which has a single party. So unlikely that they will be going ahead with the BJP as far as that is concerned. So you're roughly looking at 15. But if we were to look at some of the India members, the heavyweights are Congress, SP, TMC and the DMK. None of them really likely to extend support to the BJP as far as this matter is concerned. The only two names that I can perhaps read right now at this point in time is something that could happen with the Shiv Sena UBT and the NCP SP, which is 9 and 8 respectively. So that's another 17 there. How does the mathematics really work out, as far as your calculations are concerned?
I think this is going to be a different kind of mathematics, and I think there would be something which BJP has already worked out. BJP is known to work this out, and I don't think it is unplanned. It is very much well in advance that they have planned it. Who's going to vote where, and what vote is going to come in their favor is something which we'll come to know tomorrow. Only there's nothing which we can say as of now. But one thing is certain, that they don't have the actual numbers as per the NDA alliance is concerned. Someone has to vote who would be in the favor of one nation, one election, and that discussion, that understanding, I think is already concluded, and that is the matter of the kind. So BJP and the present BJP is not a party which will just bring a bill, and as important bill or as bill of this magnitude without preparation. So you have to give it BJP to the BJP that they are very well prepared. They know what is to be done. They know that the session is concluding on 20th December. They know the importance of time. They know walkaways can happen. They know this can be shouted out down or something like that. They know everything about it. So they have experienced farm laws. They have experienced 370. They have experienced all the important and juggled up bills to be passed in the parliament, and they have been successful in that. It is on the BJP only. I don't see opposition playing a larger or any role in any bills in India as of now, because BJP has the strong hand. Even if they don't have the numbers, they know how to conduct bill passing. That's something which they have acquired, that knowledge, understanding, whatever they may do. But the idea is that passing of bills, BJP has been much successful than Congress has been in that mandate. So I don't feel that there is any such of an argument that BJP would be short of numbers. Where the numbers are going to come up is going to be a great day for all of us to see. We'll be back on the television channels discussing, "Arey, isne de diya, usne de diya." But BJP ke paas number honge hi honge. Otherwise, this would not have been there. So they are very well prepared. They are much more prepared than anyone else. Even with this information right now being there with us, I don't think the opposition is working to make their numbers strong to counter BJP on that front. So that's the difference between BJP and the opposition parties. So this has to go the BJP way. How it's going to come, we know 293 for sure. The remaining 17 is something which we all are looking for. I think BJP already has it. It is just a matter of time, and we'll see. But why? What I conclude here is that this is a very important matter. This was discussed in the past in the parliament also. This needs to be debated. I don't want a ruckus in the parliament. What I, as a citizen of this nation, would want with this bill is, this is an opportunity for the opposition and people in power to have the longest debate possible. Why it should be allowed, why it should not be allowed, and what is best for the interest. Because this could be India after 2024. The next years of our country would be governed by this. This is going to reduce cost, but will it damage federalism or not? And how do our politicians who are in power and the people who are not in power make sure that the federalism is protected? The idea is to protect federalism. The idea is to protect constitution. The idea is not to save the cost. Yes, saving cost is very important. But if we are saving the democracy and federalism, I don't think there is any doubt about it. But that has to be debated. That has to be logically, scientifically, properly disciplined, with a proper discipline has to be debated. I just wish that happens. Otherwise, I don't see that the number count is not with the BJP. I may not know which parties are going there. I don't want to speculate that also. But I know for a matter of fact, knowing the Prime Minister and knowing this BJP, the numbers, they have it. There's no doubt about it.
Okay, okay. Piyush Pant, bring you into the conversation. Piyush Pant, essentially, when it was 2014 and then 2019, when the BJP came back with an even bigger mandate, yes, we barely had any conversations about the number games because it was very clear. It was very easy for the BJP to, in fact, get a bill passed. But has something changed after 2024, and does that beg really then this conversation of where that number, the magic number of about 70 MPs, where will that really come from?
Well, Devika, of course, the scene has changed post 2024, June 2024. BJP is not that much strong as it used to be. And the opposition is quite stronger this time. And the particular this issue is very important for the survival of the democracy as well as for these political parties also. So it is very important issue, and it will not be easy for the Bharatiya Janata Party to manage the numbers from the opposition camp. Moreover, this amendment is not a simple. This bill is not a simple bill. This amendment is a constitutional amendment which requires 2/3 of members to pass the bill and the ratification by 50% of the states. So it's not an easy process. Simply managing the majority will not serve the purpose here, and it requires a long debate because it's a very serious matter, because it attacks the very spirit of the democracy and the federalism, the spirit of federalism. And if you look at the provisions, they are not very much different, because here also, because they say that one nation, one election, but one of the provisions in the bill is that if the election commission thinks that such and such states cannot go for the election this time, so it will not go for the election. So what has changed? What you are proposing to change? Again, it will be the same process. The same thing happens. Then you are cutting down the years. You know, if a government falls in between of the term of the 5-year term, then you hold the election, but the new assembly will be a new assembly. And all these complications are there, and the expenditure will also be there. This is a farce, I think, to say that the economic expenditure will be cut down, because you will be needing, at the national level, you will be needing the security forces, you will be needing more EVMs, all sort of arrangements will be required. It will come to the same sort of expenditure. You know, this is a misnomer to say that the expenditure will be cut down. Moreover, if you have to cut down the expenditure, you cut down the borrowings which are given by and written off by the banks to the industrialists who are defaulters. You cut down there. You cut down the expenditure on the securities of the MPs, ministers, and those people who don't require securities. You cut down the expenditure on unnecessary activities of the government, you know, non-budgetary expenditure. You cut down over there. Not on the electoral process, which is the spirit of the democracy, which is the right of the people to elect their government and to show their dissent to the government. So that if you want through this bill, you want to give a unitary character to the constitution, unitary character to the entire electoral process. This is very much against the spirit of the democracy and the people's right to choose their government and their right to dethrone the government whenever they feel the government is not working according to their wishes.
Okay, all right. Pertinent points raised there. Sumit wants to make a point, but Sumit, yes, there is a lot of conversation right now about one of the aspects that Mr. Piyush Pant has raised, that there is a provision within the bill that if a government falls, then there will be midterm elections until the next cycle of holding the Lok Sabha and the State Assembly elections takes place. So clearly, essentially, really, what is the difference? That's a big question mark, and that ought to be debated within the parliament, that are we really going to be able to cut costs? Because whether we like it or not, be it the Congress or the BJP or any other party, we have seen in the past many attempts at government, essentially people don't want resort politics to be back at any cost. right? We've seen in Karnataka, we've seen in Maharashtra, and it's an entirely embarrassing situation for the public at large as well, to watch their MLAs being taken away in buses and midnight coups happening. You don't want that to take place, but obviously you have to provide for it. So if you are providing for it, essentially it does boil down back to that question, then what really is changing?
You see, Devika ji, you have raised a very pertinent point. The first and the most important thing is that when we talk now, what will happen is, let's say a Lok Sabha chunav is conducted, a parliamentary chunav is conducted, the Honorable President will come and will declare the start date and end date of this particular session. Let's say it's 1st March 2024 and it ends in 1st March 2029. So that is the tenure of the Rajya Sabha. You have to understand that is the tenure of the parliament. In the meanwhile, let's say after 3 years the government falls due to whatever reasons. If a new government comes, the tenure of that government will be 2 years, not 5 years.
Yes.
That is which is a very important point here. Point number 2, the nation cannot be perpetually in a mode of election.
That's true.
आज कुछ भी करो, आज आप कुछ भी करो, बोले इसलिए चुनाव है कर रहे हैं, इसलिए नहीं कर रहे क्योंकि चुनाव है, right? So that perpetual mode of being in the election all around the place will go. Third thing is that when you have such a big country and every now and then there's an election, the people, the netas, the machinery, the Prashasan is always in election mode. So when you elections just gone and by, so after 3 months of elections, you have around 4.75 years to do and deliver for the people, do the work of the people. Lot of bills are not brought in because the election hone wala. Lot of bills are brought in and criticized because election nahi hua. So this perpetual politics which hangs around elections is gone. And I don't agree with due respect to POG is a very senior person. I respectfully disagree that people's rights have been taken. Nobody's rights is taken. Everybody will vote and ask people like us who want to vote and call it a day. We don't want to.
Sumit, one follow-up question. Now you explained, of course, what will happen when the midterm polls do take place, but essentially then people will ask that what was the point, because obviously then money will also still have to be spent to conduct that midterm poll.
Correct, ma'am. Look, let's say I'm talking of around 32 states. I'm talking of one parliament. We had one election. Let's say, for example, state A, we have a midterm poll. You will only have to do election in that. And state D had a midterm poll. We have to do election in that. 30 states and the parliament is pretty much intact. No need of elections for that. And POG, let me correct you, sir. Today, the pravdhan or the provision in the bill is that if there's a particular state, let's say there's a state like, for example, J&K, I'm just quoting it. Now, if the election commission thinks that you want to conduct an election in December or nationwide, December is not the best time for there. One reason may be security, one reason may be wind. So, election commission can give a recommendation to the president, and president's discretion is what PUG quoted that election commission will have a discretion. Election nahi kar raha hoga. They are only to give on. So basically, if you are able to centralize 98% of the things, 95%, imagine India.
Okay, we step into a very, very quick break.